This video is made for Classy Well's One Line More contest. Staten Island, New York City's forgotten borough. It has beautiful beaches, amazing parklands, and just a completely different feel and landscape compared to the rest of the city. However, one thing it does lack is a subway line, making it relatively car-dependent with the highest car ownership rate in the entire city. Although the first proposal of a transit line to Staten Island can date back to the 19th century, and different variants have been proposed over time, a subway to Staten Island has become a pipe dream that never made it to reality. In today's video, I will propose my version of a Staten Island subway line. Under my proposal, the Staten Island line will be a two-track extension of the 2nd Avenue Subway from its Phase 4 terminal at Hanover Square. 2nd Avenue Subway is a four-phase subway line that runs under, you guessed it, 2nd Avenue in Manhattan. Currently, the first phase has opened between Lexington Avenue, 63rd Street and 96th Street on 2nd Avenue and is served by the Q train. The second phase, currently under construction, will extend it north to 125th Street, Lexington Avenue, while Phase 3 and 4 will extend it to Lower Manhattan, eventually ending at Hanover Square. Now, let's talk about the alignment for the Staten Island line. Heading south out of Hanover Square Station, the line will continue on Water Street. A station will be built at the intersection with State Street. The station will be part of the South Ferry Whitehall Street complex, with the transfers of the 1, R, and W trains. Interestingly, you can also connect to the Staten Island Ferry from here, which is a common way to access Staten Island nowadays. However, if this extension gets built, I bet it will become a faster way to Staten Island than the ferry. Leaving South Ferry, a new tunnel will be built to carry the line across the East River. The tunnel will be built in two sections, from Manhattan Island to Governor's Island and from Governor's Island to Brooklyn. A station will be built at Governor's Island. On the Brooklyn side, the line will land in the Red Hook neighborhood. It will run along Verona Street and West 9th Street. Stations will be at Columbia Street Coffee Park and Smith 9th Street, with a transfer to the F and G trains. After Smith 9th Street station, the line curves south onto 3rd Avenue and under the Gowanus Expressway. Now, this will be the part that may be controversial. I propose the removal of the Gowanus Expressway, replacing it with a bike, pedestrian, and transit-friendly surface 3rd Avenue. Now, before you think I am crazy, let me explain. Highway removal is not a new thing. It has happened across the world, including in North America. The closest example is the West Side Elevated Highway in New York, which is now a bike and walking trail next to the Hudson River. Back in the 20th century, the construction of urban highways had devastating impacts to minority communities, displacing homes and causing air pollution. Highway removal projects can help reconnect these neighborhoods and reduce carbon emissions. While you might think this will cause congestion, multiple examples across the world have shown that traffic did not get worse as expected, and people will simply switch to alternate modes like public transit to get around. After removing Gowanus Expressway, the Staten Island Subway line could be constructed on 3rd Avenue using cut and cover. After the subway line is completed, 3rd Avenue will be rebuilt with wider pedestrian paths, bike lanes, and bus lanes. Communities along the Gowanus Expressway, such as Sunset Park, will be greatly benefited. There will be less air pollution and noise from traffic. The community will be more walkable and bike-friendly, and most importantly, they will get better transit access. The Staten Island Subway line will run under 3rd Avenue from 14th Street to 65th Street. Stations will be at Sunset Park, 36th Street with a transfer to the N, D, and R train, and 59th Street with a transfer to the N and R train. Notice that I spaced stations further apart compared to a typical subway line. This is because there is the 4th Avenue line a block east that has a shorter stop spacing. So I decided that the Staten Island line will have larger stop spacing in this section, so it could be faster. After 65th Street, the line turns west. From here, a new tunnel will be needed to cross the New York Bay to St. George on Staten Island. Since St. George is at the edge of Staten Island, the Cross Bay Tunnel won't have enough distance to rise up, so the station will be built below the existing platform of the Staten Island Railway. Here, connection tracks from the Staten Island Railway's main line and a reactivated North Shore branch will be built. After St. George, the line will rise up to and elevated above Victory Boulevard. The line will run along Victory Boulevard with stations at Forest Avenue, Silver Lake, Clove Road, Jovite Avenue, Canterbury Avenue, College of Staten Island, and Richmond Avenue. Then, the line will curve south to run along Richmond Avenue, with stations at Travis Avenue and Staten Island Mall, which will be the terminal of the Staten Island Subway line. In total, the Staten Island line will be 16.3 miles long, with 14 stations. I propose a new train yard and transit-oriented development at Staten Island Mall. It will be similar to Hudson Yards in Manhattan, where the train yard will be covered up for development above. The development will be mixed use with residential and commercial spaces. Next, let us talk about service patterns. As said earlier, the Staten Island line will be an extension of the 2nd Avenue Subway. The official plan is for the entire 2nd Avenue Subway to have 2 tracks. However, I have my own plans for 2nd Avenue Subway, which will be shared in another video. But here's what you need to know for the context of this video. There will be 4 tracks between 125th Street, Lexington Avenue, and 23rd Street. From there, 2 express tracks will continue down 2nd Avenue to Hanover Square, where the 2 local tracks will branch off. While the T train will serve the local tracks, I propose for a new service, the Diamond T, to run between 125th Street, Lexington Avenue, and Staten Island Mall via the 2nd Avenue Subway's express track and the Staten Island line. With the revise I did to the official plan, the Diamond T will get full track capacity of 30 trains per hour. However, we won't need that yet for Staten Island. For initial operation to Staten Island Mall, I propose 15 trains per hour or 4-minute headway during weekday rush hours, 12 trains per hour or 5-minute headway during weekday midday, and 6 trains per hour or 10-minute headway during weekends. Besides Diamond T service between 125th Street, Lexington Avenue, and Staten Island Mall, I also propose through service with the Staten Island Railway Main Line and North Shore branch using the connecting tracks mentioned earlier. During morning rush hour, I propose for 2 trains from Tottenville to 125th Street, Lexington Avenue, and 2 trains from Arlington to 125th Street, Lexington Avenue. During evening rush hour, I propose for 2 trains from 125th Street, Lexington Avenue to Tottenville, and 2 trains from 125th Street, Lexington Avenue to Arlington. All of these trains will run express on the Staten Island Railway Main Line and North Shore branch. In total, we have 19 trains per hour that will be serving Staten Island during rush hours, which I believe is more than enough and should be good for many years to come. The remaining 11 trains per hour capacity can be used for short-turning trains in Hanover Square, giving the busiest Manhattan section the maximum capacity. If demand on Staten Island increases in the future, we have plenty of unused capacity to add. For the rolling stock, I propose using the existing R211A trains and to be ordered R268 trains. In order to operate through service with Staten Island Railway, the R268 used on the line will be a customized variant that allows the fleet to operate both on the Staten Island Railway and the subway. I also want the fleet to have a higher operational speed to fully take advantage of the long stop spacing on 3rd Avenue in Brooklyn. Next, I want to talk about the cost and funding sources. I will use the $2.1 billion per mile cost of the 2nd Avenue Subway for underground portions and the $500 million per mile cost of the Honolulu Metro for elevated portions. In total, the Staten Island Subway line is estimated to cost $22 billion. If we elevate the section on 3rd Avenue, we could lower the cost to around $17 billion. And I don't know if this is possible, but if we could directly use the elevated structure of the Gowanus Expressway for the subway line, we could further lower the cost. However, the costs we see here are just estimations based on the per mile cost of existing transit projects in the U.S. The U.S. has a high cost for building transit in general, and there are ways to lower it. If that happens, we can not only save money on the Staten Island line, but other transit projects across the country. I am working on a separate video on this topic, so stay tuned. So, how will we fund the project? I do not have a detailed plan, but I do have a few funding sources in mind. The first one is revenue from congestion pricing tools. If you didn't know, New York City is about to implement congestion pricing, a toll for entering Manhattan south of 60th Street. This will provide around $1 billion revenue to the MTA every year. This is far from funding the entire project, but some of that revenue could be used for transit expansions. Since you are encouraging people not to drive and to take transit, we should expand the system to places that lack good transit, like Staten Island. Another funding source is the Reconnecting Communities pilot grant from the US DOT. The grant provides up to $607 million for projects focused on reducing environmental harm and improving access in disadvantaged communities. Besides these two sources, fundings could also be secured from other federal, state, and city sources. Despite the high cost, the Staten Island Subway line will be a game changer for Staten Island and other communities along the way. Assuming a 40-mile-per-hour operational speed and stopping for 1 minute at each station, it will take around 38 minutes from Staten Island Mall to Hanover Square. Currently, it takes 53 minutes on a bus just to get from Staten Island Mall to St. George and 25 minutes from St. George to South Ferry. The new subway line will greatly cut travel time between Staten Island and Manhattan, making public transit a more attractive option to consider. Staten Island is not the only borough that benefits. Transit deserts like Red Hook in Brooklyn and Governor Island will also get subway service. What are your thoughts on my Staten Island subway plan? Share it with me in the comments below. If you'd like to see my other transit proposals, check out this playlist. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in those playlists.